Jayvardy.
Jayvardy.
This Jayvardy.
Jayvardy. Thank you, Jayvardy.
Jayvardy.
Jayvardy. Oh, Jayvardy. Oh my gosh.
Hello everyone, welcome to this. This is a video I've been wanting to make for weeks, possibly even months, but I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I've been holding off for several different reasons. One is just pure laziness, just lazy to make the video, but also just wanting to kind of wait and see if things would get better and see if the WWE could right the ship a little bit and kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt, especially considering last year's WrestleMania had some of the best build up and some of the best, matches in my entire time as a wrestling fan, which is over 20 years now, because the first ever WrestleMania I watched live as it happened was WrestleMania 20. So part of it was giving them the benefit of the doubt to see if they could kind of right the ship and steer the ship in the proper direction here. And also, just the other thing was, I just didn't want to make a video and hold on to negativity and rant out of negativity and, make a video out of, negative energy, essentially. And before I go any further, really, I kind of want to touch on that last point of not wanting to do, a video out of negativity. Both for myself, personally, I just didn't want to hold on to negative energy and really just think about negative things and kind of build on something that was already making me angry and upset as it was and making that worse. But also, I just didn't want to spread negativity to others regarding this, and I don't want to kind of ruin anybody's, excitement heading into WrestleMania for them. And I want to touch on that for a second before I go further and say that if you're a wrestling fan that is really into what's happening right now and you're really into the WrestleMania card as it is right now, and you're really excited for WrestleMania 41 in general, then, I won't be offended if you want to click away from this video and not give it a chance, because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to ruin your excitement for WrestleMania. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't be excited for WrestleMania. If you are, that's great. If you are really looking forward to WrestleMania, I hope you love it. I hope you enjoy the next few weeks of build-up that are remaining before WrestleMania, and I hope you enjoy WrestleMania on the nights that it happens. I'm not here to tell you not to enjoy it. I'm not here to tell you not to be excited about it. In my opinion, I think you should have higher standards. In my opinion, I think you should expect more from a company that's clearly capable of giving more and a company that clearly can be doing better than it currently is. I believe those things myself, and I believe that the audience has some blame in this, because the audiences keep buying tickets, they keep buying merch, they keep tuning into every show, they keep chanting "this is awesome" every single week on TV. You hear "this is awesome" chants for, mid-card matches with mid-card stars that really don't matter. You hear "you deserve it" chants at stars who really don't deserve those chants. And you're just seeing the audience play into mediocrity, which allows the WWE to keep shoving mediocrity in your face. So I do think the audience is in a large part of the blame of this, if not most to blame for this. But I'm not here to ruin your excitement. If you are excited for WrestleMania, then be excited for WrestleMania and enjoy the show. I personally am not excited for WrestleMania 41 whatsoever. I think the build-up from between the Royal Rumble to where we are now, we're a few weeks out from WrestleMania, has been atrocious. I think some of the creative decisions on what matches are being booked and what matches aren't being booked has been atrocious. I think the storylines are severely lacking, and there essentially is no real storylines. It's all just bottom of the barrel, basic, pro wrestling 101 no effort storylines. There aren't actual real storylines or creativity put into the card this year. And I just see a lot of wasted potential and a lot of just bad decisions and just overall a really bad direction that I've kind of have come to, I had a bad feeling going into the new year for WrestleMania this year, but for me, this is very obviously a year that the WWE doesn't have it. And in my, years of being a wrestling fan, there are WrestleManias that, some years they just don't have it. And whether that's the build up to the WrestleMania, the match card that they're able to put together based on who they have access to, or even just the shows themselves. And it remains to be seen what WrestleMania 41 turns out to be. There have been WrestleManias in the past that have had really, really bad build-ups and really, really weak cards on paper that have turned into, pretty good shows in a bubble as themselves, like on the night of. A WrestleMania that I think of when it comes to that is WrestleMania 24. WrestleMania 24 had a really, really bad build-up. Essentially, the only match that had proper build-up was Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair in what was a quote-unquote retirement match that was not really a retirement match because Ric Flair was wrestling like a year later after that, not in WWE, but he was wrestling like a year later, or a little bit more than a year later, but it wasn't a real retirement. So in hindsight, even that match didn't have proper build-up because it wasn't an actual retirement match. But that was the only match that really had proper build-up that year. Um, so WrestleMania 24 had a really weak card on paper and it had a really bad build-up. But you watch WrestleMania 24, the show itself was actually pretty good. And WrestleMania 41 could turn out to be that. And in the best case scenario, that is what WrestleMania 41 will turn out to be, that in a bubble and on its own, it will be a good show or a good weekend of shows because WrestleMania is 2 nights now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this is a very weak card with a very weak build-up. And for me, the aftermath of WrestleMania 41 is also already screwed up. So the absolute best case scenario for this show at this point is that it's a great show in a bubble, but the build-up has sucked, the match card sucks, and the aftermath is going to be filled with tons of problems just based on bad booking, bad decisions, a bad card, and just overall just bad direction in general. And we're going to really get into it. These 4 matches, the ones that you see on the screen, are the centerfold of the problems, and each one of these matches ticks me off for one reason or another, and all for different reasons, and some of them for multiple reasons. But these 4 matches for me are all terrible. All 4 of these are terrible matches. I am not looking forward to any one of these 4 matches in any way. I disagree with pretty much everything going on with them. And the last straw for me, in terms of like me deciding to make this video, was finding out that Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins was going to be the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. And that for me was like, I can't hold this in any longer. It's been weeks and weeks and weeks of me holding in my anger of what I've been seeing with the WWE and holding in my anger of what I'm seeing leading into WrestleMania 41. I can't stand this card. And like I said, that finding out that triple threat match is going to main event night 1 was the last straw for me, and not in a good way, but in a way of like, I can't hold this in anymore. What is this company doing? What are these guys doing? This is so terrible. This is so bad that I can't hold it in anymore. And I'll get into that more when I talk about that match specifically. But I just couldn't hold it in anymore. And for me, before I really get into the focus of these 4 matches, and the reason I'm focusing on these 4 matches is because, like, the rest of the card, who gives a shit? No one gives a shit. Like, the other 2 matches that are confirmed are Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. No one gives a shit about that match. Anyone with half a brain realizes that Charlotte's only here to put over Tiffany, and maybe they'll have one more match after WrestleMania, but Essentially, Charlotte's here to put over Tiffany, then Tiffany's going to move on to someone else, and Charlotte's going to, make her descent down the card. And Charlotte is almost 40 years old. I mean, she's near the end of her line. There's no way in heck Charlotte even stands a chance of winning that match. Tiffany's going to win. Charlotte's here to put her over. That's it. It's an older star here to put over a young star. Nothing complicated about that, and no one really gives a shit because anyone with half a brain already knows the result of the match. So who cares? The other confirmed match is Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Again, this is just filler crap. No one cares about Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. They wrestled each other at WrestleMania last year. They wrestled in the triple threat match with Logan Paul with the United States title on the line. So last year, they had a triple threat match with a young upcoming star and a championship on the line. This year, they're having a one-on-one match. Why do we care about Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens when we saw them wrestle each other at WrestleMania last year? And this year, it's just obvious filler crap to help fill out the card. I mean, if you asked anybody last year, the night after Cody Rhodes became champion, who you want Randy Orton to face at WrestleMania this year for WrestleMania 41, people would have said Cody Rhodes because there's a built-in story there, and that seems like a natural way to go for Cody the next year at WrestleMania. If he wasn't going to be wrestling The Rock, it would be Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. That would be a great, championship match with built-in story. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You ask people who you want Randy Orton to face at WrestleMania the night after John Cena announced his retirement tour, a lot of people would have said John Cena for John Cena's last WrestleMania match, because that has a lot of built-in and easy to, navigate through storylines, and it's a match that means something. So are we getting Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes? No. Are we getting Randy Orton versus John Cena? No. We're getting Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, somebody that he already wrestled last year at WrestleMania. So who cares? It's just filler crap. And then the rest of the card, all the rumored matches like Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. No one gives a shit about Damian Priest. Damian Priest has had his chance to become a star. It didn't work out. The guy's a mid-card wrestler, and he's not even going to last as a mid-card wrestler. Damian Priest was given the opportunity to become a main eventer. It didn't work. He's on his descent down the card now, and by this time next year, Damian Priest will be most likely a fringe WrestleMania wrestler at best. He won't even be a mid-card WrestleMania wrestler by this point next year. He'll be a fringe WrestleMania wrestler at best. So no one gives a shit about Damian Priest. It's a waste of Drew McIntyre's WrestleMania slot this year. Drew McIntyre should have been involved in a big-time match. He's not. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. No one gives a shit about this match. This is just like Charlotte and Tiffany. AJ Styles is here to put over Logan Paul. But Logan Paul doesn't need AJ Styles to put him over. He was already put over by Orton and Kevin Owens last year. Really, this is just a waste of a slot for Logan Paul, as much as, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest is a waste of Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Putting Logan Paul against AJ Styles is just a waste of Logan Paul, who at this point is ready to be in more, main event level matches. Not necessarily the main event, but main event level matches at WrestleMania. I mean, why use a guy with the star power, the mainstream star power of Logan Paul in a throwaway filler match with AJ Styles? It makes no sense. And then, you have tag team title match rumors, Rey Mysterio versus Chad Gable, or maybe Chad Gable versus another luchador. You have, Intercontinental and US title fatal four-way rumors. No one gives a shit about any of that crap. All that's just filler nonsense. So, the rest of the card, who even gives a shit about? No one gives a shit about the rest of the card. These are the matches that WrestleMania is being built around, and these are the matches that I'm going to criticize and talk about why these matches have killed my interest for WrestleMania 41. Each one of these matches have ticked me off for one reason or another. Each one of these matches are matches that I hate for one reason or another. And I'm going to go through the rest of this video and talk about why each of these four matches have ruined the build-up to WrestleMania for me, have killed the excitement of WrestleMania 41 for me, and how even some of them, in some ways, is killing the aftermath of WrestleMania 41 already for me. So let's get into that. This match, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, literally makes me want to scream. Like, I'm gonna have to really hold in some anger here because I hate this match with a passion. For so many reasons, I hate this match. But mainly, I hate this match because it's the main event of night one of WrestleMania. And there's two reasons, more than two, but so it's a bunch of little reasons why I hate it being the main event combined into two big reasons why I hate it being the main event of night one. But let's start with the first thing, and this is something that a lot of people have criticized with this match already, and it's the fact that, a triple threat matches are lame. Like, it's that simple. Triple threat matches are lame. Triple threat matches are, they belong on TV and they belong on like filler pay-per-views through the year, like all the different PLEs or pay-per-views, whatever you want to call them, that, like, the backlashes or the Saudi Arabia shows or, Bad Blood or whatever, like all these, filler, PLE shows. They don't belong at WrestleMania. They don't belong at SummerSlam. They don't belong at the big main, the big main shows throughout the year. Triple threat matches are lame as heck. In fact, you take these three wrestlers and you pair them off individually, every single one of those one-on-one matches are so much more interesting than a triple threat. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is so much more interesting than this. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns is 1,000 times more interesting than this. Even Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins is easily way more interesting than this. Triple threats suck. And it's very clear to me why this is a triple threat match and why this triple threat match is happening. It's because The Rock wasn't available to work WrestleMania. It is quite clear that The Rock was supposed to wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania this year. Some people say Cody, but for me, I think they were always planning on doing Rock versus Roman this year, and they were going to figure out how to get to Rock versus Roman. And when that fell through, they did not know what to do with Roman Reigns. So someone somewhere came up with the idea of making this into a triple threat match when clearly Punk was supposed to wrestle Seth one-on-one. They've been building that for like pretty much since CM Punk returned to WWE. They've been building that up. But as soon as they realized that 100% that they weren't getting rocked for WrestleMania, they threw CM Punk versus Seth Rollins on the first Netflix or the first Raw on Netflix, and they came up with the idea of making this a triple threat match. It's a stupid idea. I don't like it. If I would have much rather preferred CM Punk versus Roman Reigns one-on-one and figure out something else to do with Seth, or just power through with CM Punk versus Seth. I don't think they would have realistically gotten to Seth versus Roman one-on-one, but whether it's Punk versus Reigns or Punk versus Rollins, that would have been so much more interesting than this throwaway nonsense triple threat match. And the fact that it's the main event is really, really ticking me off. But there's one more point I want to make before we move on. Before I changed slides, there was one point I forgot to make, but it's relevant to this slide as well with The Rock versus Roman Reigns. And where WrestleMania 41 was truly killed for me was the first Netflix on Raw. It's been killed so many times since then, but like the more I think about it, the more this is the moment that destroyed WrestleMania 41 for like any potential WrestleMania 41 was destroyed when The Rock took the Ulafala from Paul Heyman and put it around Roman Reigns' neck instead of putting it around his own neck. So The Rock on the first Netflix on Raw basically killed The Rock versus Cody Rhodes by putting Cody Rhodes over in his promo and talking about how great of a champion and how great of a friend they've become and blah, blah, blah. So he killed the feud with Cody on the night of Netflix. But when The Rock took the Ulafala, there was an opportunity for The Rock to put it around his own neck instead of putting it around Roman Reigns' neck, and that would have, kicked off Rock versus Roman for WrestleMania. But The Rock put the Ulafala around Roman Reigns' neck, and that is where WrestleMania 41 died, because The Rock essentially killed his feud with Cody Rhodes and killed his feud with Roman Reigns all in one shot. And we knew the night of January 6th that we were not getting either of those matches. And that's where WrestleMania died, because those were the matches, right? The Rock versus Roman Reigns, that was your match. That was your big selling match. That was going to be your big storyline driven match with two huge stars. The bloodline would probably come to an end. You would get this big payoff of that years and years long story of the bloodline mixed with the two huge names of Rock versus Roman. Or at very least, if they went with Rock versus Cody, you would be continuing what we started last year. Either way, you would have had this humongous match. But The Rock not being available to wrestle at WrestleMania is a real life situation, and sometimes real life gets in the way of fiction, especially in pro wrestling, where real life things do affect what you're able to do in this fiction, obviously. So you can't necessarily get mad at that, but the WWE didn't adapt. They didn't have a strong enough plan B. And this match is evidence of that. They just randomly throw Roman Reigns into this feud with CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and we have this throwaway triple threat match that is now the main event of night one. And that's where the problems really became unforgivable for me, because I hated this match when I thought it was going to be in the mid card of WrestleMania. I already hated it, but now that I know it's the main event of night one, I hate it even more. And there's two reasons why I hate it so much, this being the main event. There are so many reasons why this being the main event of WrestleMania is stupid and ridiculous, and just shows that the people in charge have no idea what they're doing. Here's the first reason. What are the two main events of WrestleMania this year? You have this match, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Okay, that's main eventing night one. Main eventing night two is John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. What do you notice about those two WrestleMania main events? I'll give you a second to think about it. Both of those matches have something in common. Specifically, both of those matches are missing something. I'll give you a second to think about it. Both of those matches are missing a Royal Rumble winner. What is the Royal Rumble advertised every single year as? The winner of the Royal Rumble goes to the main event of WrestleMania. Well, now WrestleMania is 2 nights, but there's 2 Royal Rumbles. There's one for the men and one for the women. So now that WrestleMania is 2 nights, and now that there's 2 Royal Rumbles, the Royal Rumble is still being advertised as the winner of the Royal Rumble goes to the main event of WrestleMania. Now, not always has the Royal Rumble winner main event in WrestleMania throughout the history of WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. It's always advertised that way, but it doesn't always happen. But the fact that there's now 2 nights of WrestleMania and not a single Royal Rumble winner is main eventing WrestleMania, go back and watch the Royal Rumble. What did they advertise both those matches as? The winner of the Royal Rumble goes to the main event of WrestleMania. In real life, Jey Uso and Charlotte Flair have no say over whether or not their matches are the main event of WrestleMania. They have no say in real life. I understand that. I'm not so stupid. But kayfabe-wise, why would Charlotte Flair as a heel be okay with this match being in the main event of WrestleMania but not her? Shouldn't she be coming out immediately on the mic being like, excuse me, I won the Royal Rumble. I'm the one main eventing WrestleMania. Like, that's essentially what Cody Rhodes did last year with The Rock, right? He came out and was like, I won the Royal Rumble. I'm main eventing WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, not you. So we've already seen the fact that wrestlers will do that. So why would Charlotte Flair, as a heel especially, ever accept this being in the main event and not her? That doesn't make any sense. Why would Jey Uso, a babyface who came up as quote unquote main event Jey Uso under his cousin Roman Reigns, part of the bloodline, why would he be okay taking the backseat to Roman once again when he finally earned his main event by winning the Royal Rumble, a match that Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins were all in and all lost. Why would Jey Uso be okay taking the backseat to these guys? It doesn't make any sense. Why is this a main event of WrestleMania, but the Royal Rumble winners are not in the main event of WrestleMania? And if you think that that's the worst criticism of this being the main event, oh, we're just getting started on criticisms of this being the main event. But I just wanted to point that out, that the two main events of WrestleMania, because there's two nights, neither one of them has a Royal Rumble winner. Two main events, and not one of them has a Royal Rumble winner in it. Two Royal Rumble winners, and neither of them are main eventing WrestleMania. So much for the winner of the Royal Rumble goes to the main event of WrestleMania. And the next thing, now I understand that these three characters do not like each other, and there's some real life, fourth wall breaking, bullshit involved with these three not liking each other, that these three men probably don't like each other in real life. But regardless, these three characters do not like each other. Okay, that makes sense. That's simple enough to understand. We get it. These three characters don't like each other. So do they have a reason to fight? Yeah, they don't like each other. But that's not what this match was ever about. It wasn't about the three of these men not liking each other. We already knew that. We already knew they didn't like each other. This match was about them costing each other the main event of WrestleMania. That's what this match was about. CM Punk cost both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns the main event at WrestleMania. How? He eliminated them at the Royal Rumble. And then at the Elimination Chamber, CM Punk eliminated Seth Rollins, costing both of those men a shot at the main event of WrestleMania. Seth Rollins cost CM Punk and Roman Reigns the main event of WrestleMania. How? Seth Rollins took Roman Reigns out at the Royal Rumble. He took him out of commission. He knocked him out and basically put him on the injury shelf kayfabe-wise. So Roman Reigns was not able to qualify for the Elimination Chamber, which is a last chance method to get to the main event of WrestleMania. How did Seth Rollins cost CM Punk the main event of WrestleMania? Seth Rollins interfered in the Elimination Chamber after being eliminated when CM Punk was probably on the verge of beating John Cena, kayfabe-wise. Seth Rollins then cost CM Punk the match, which causes CM Punk to miss out on WrestleMania. So Seth Rollins cost both Punk and Roman Reigns the main event of WrestleMania. Roman Reigns cost Seth Rollins and CM Punk the main event at WrestleMania. How did Roman Reigns cost the two of them the spot at WrestleMania? Well, Roman distracted Seth during the Royal Rumble, which caused Punk to eliminate them both. And then Roman distracted Punk after the elimination with the nonsense with Seth, which led to Logan eliminating CM Punk. So that's how Roman cost the two of them the main event slot at WrestleMania. All three of these men have cost the other two the main event spot at WrestleMania this year. That's what this triple threat match was about. The fact that they each cost each other the main event spot at WrestleMania. Why are they fighting? Because they cost each other the main event spot at WrestleMania. Do you see the problem here? Now, this is a main event match at WrestleMania. So you're telling me a triple threat match that exists storyline-wise because the men cost the other men a chance to main event WrestleMania is now a main event match at WrestleMania. Who is booking this? The dumbest man on the planet. That's who. So if this match exists because each of these men cost the other ones the main event spot at WrestleMania, but this match is now the main event match at WrestleMania, what's the point of them fighting each other? Oh, it's just back to they don't like each other? Well, I'm sorry, that's not a good enough reason for them to be fighting each other in a main event match at WrestleMania. There's no championship on the line here. The entire point of the match was that they cost each other the main event spot at WrestleMania. That's no longer the case, which makes no effing sense. I don't know who's writing this. Like I said, the dumbest man on the planet is writing this. The entire point of the match no longer exists. So we're simply back to the three of them not liking each other. That's not good enough for a WrestleMania main event. A match that should never have been WrestleMania main event, because the entire purpose of the match was the fact that none of them were making the main event of WrestleMania this year. If one of them were champion, this could be a main event of WrestleMania, fine. None of them are champion. So this should not be a WrestleMania main event. It makes absolutely no sense. It takes away the entire purpose of the match, it being the main event. I hate it. But there's one more thing that makes me hate it even more. CM Punk. CM Punk is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. What is CM Punk's entire purpose of being back in WWE? His entire draw point was he needs to get to the main event of WrestleMania. The entire purpose of him being back in WWE was to get to the main event of WrestleMania. That is the biggest draw of the CM Punk character. There's some fourth wall breaking to that character, but even in kayfabe, that is the biggest point to the CM Punk character in this run of WWE, is he's back to main event WrestleMania. We already talked about how this match came to be because CM Punk, or because all three of these men cost each other the main event spot at WrestleMania. CM Punk did not win a world championship. CM Punk lost the Royal Rumble. CM Punk lost the Elimination Chamber. That gives him a reason to fight these guys at WrestleMania, right? Because he's screwed out of the WrestleMania spot. This is all fine because it gives CM Punk something to do up to WrestleMania 42. That whole draw to his character of I need to make it to the main event of WrestleMania, it goes beyond here. And in fact, that was kind of a good thing. I think CM Punk being in the mid-card of WrestleMania this year, whether it's in this triple threat match or whether it's against Roman or whether it's against Seth in one-on-one matches, was great because it's his first WrestleMania back wrestling, and it's in the mid-card after he's been screwed out of main events. So then you get him a victory in the mid-card, and then you have him come out the next night on Raw and make a vow to the audience that he will be in the main event of WrestleMania next year, whether that's through winning a world championship, winning the Royal Rumble, or winning the Money in the Bank, and, you know, announcing that he's going to be main eventing WrestleMania, which was the idea that I had. My idea was you do this triple threat match, which I'm not a huge fan of anyways, but like it is what we're getting. My thoughts the last couple weeks was you do this triple threat match in the mid card of night 2. CM Punk gets the win, and then the next night on Raw, he comes out and he announces a vow that he will be in the main event of WrestleMania 42. You have Logan Paul come out and make the same vow, and then you have the two of them play off of each other, one being a heel and Logan Paul, and CM Punk being the babyface, and Logan Paul can kind of, you know, play on the whole, I'm going to make it to my WrestleMania main event before you, and I vow to take the WrestleMania main event spot from you next year, CM Punk. And what this does is a few things. It keeps that Punk goal alive. It gives some fire to the feud that they kind of already started between Punk and Paul. They haven't had their match yet, and they're clearly not focusing on that feud right now, but they've already teased the feud. So you add some fuel to that fire, and which gives you a possible WrestleMania main event next year. That, to me, WrestleMania 42, a main event possibility, I thought a really strong one was CM Punk versus Logan Paul. That's gone now. That only worked if it was both of their first time in the main event. Well, now CM Punk's going to be a WrestleMania main eventer, so that goes out the window. And pretty much everything goes out the window with CM Punk now. This is the biggest problem with this match being in the main event, is what is the point of CM Punk now? What is the point of his character? everything that we have to cheer for his character revolved around him finally getting to the main event of WrestleMania. And after him being screwed out of the WrestleMania main event as many times as he was during the build-up to this WrestleMania, this triple threat match made some sense in the mid-card. But we talked about why it doesn't make any sense for it to be in the main event. But now, not only all of that, but CM Punk as a character now has no purpose. This might as well be CM Punk's retirement match. Because what do we have to cheer for about CM Punk after this? What's there to cheer for CM Punk after this? If this was in the mid card, we would still have we're cheering for you to get to the main event, Punk. We believe in you, Punk. What's the point now? What's the point? And you're wasting CM Punk's main event at WrestleMania on this throwaway triple threat match that means nothing. I can't believe they did this. That's why I'm making this video right now, because this to me was, they've made a lot of bad decisions with this WrestleMania, but to me this was the final straw. They've killed CM Punk's character. They've totally killed CM Punk's character. There is no reason to cheer for CM Punk after WrestleMania this year. The biggest thing to cheer about him is now gone, and it's gone for this meaningless, throwaway, triple threat match that doesn't effing matter. And I don't know if I can ever forgive the company for that. People talk all the time about how Triple H has such great long-term vision. I don't see it. I don't see it. In fact, I think he has no long-term vision, because if he had long-term vision, the very first thing him and CM Punk should have came to an agreement on when they brought him back was, look, your character is going to revolve around this whole main eventing WrestleMania thing. What if you get to the main event of WrestleMania in a couple years or a few years, and that's your last match? How poetic would it be that the CM Punk character finally makes it to the main event of WrestleMania in his last match? Whether it's as champion or a Royal Rumble winner or whatever, but in his retirement match, he finally makes it to the big one. He finally makes it to the main event of WrestleMania. That would be great long-term booking. This is killing a character, because CM Punk has always been one of my favorite wrestlers for my entire fandom of pro wrestling. CM Punk's up there for being one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. His character's dead. It's dead. Like I said, he might as well just retire after this, because there's no point in cheering for him after this. You just took away the character's biggest cheering point. If I'm CM Punk, I'm actually pissed at this. Unless there's a real life thing that we don't know about, like maybe CM Punk is not healthy enough to wrestle another year. Maybe CM Punk is going to come out after WrestleMania similar to how Edge came out after WrestleMania 27, after his match with Alberto Del Rio, and Punk's going to announce that he has some injury that we don't know about that's causing him to hang up the boots. And if that's the case, okay, then, maybe I have to reevaluate some of this talk. But as of now, we don't know that to be the case, and I can't speculate on that being the case. I can only speculate on what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing is a really, really bad decision that doesn't make any sense and has killed the character of one of my favorite wrestlers. And for that, I am super, super pissed. I hate this. I hate this match. I hate this match being in the main event. I hate that they killed the character of one of my favorite wrestlers. And not only has this hurt WrestleMania 41 for me, it's hurt WrestleMania 42 for me, because now I can't root for CM Punk to main event WrestleMania next year, because they've taken that away from him by putting this match nonsensically into the main event of WrestleMania 41. Okay, so the last match is the match that has me the most fired up, but this is the match that has me the second most fired up. And before the triple threat match between Punk, Rollins, and Reigns was announced as the main event of WrestleMania, this was the match that had me the most fired up. But after they killed CM Punk's character, this is the match that has me second most fired up, but before that was the match that had me the most fired up. Right now, the match is Io Sky versus Bianca Belair, but we all expect it to turn into a triple threat match between Io, Rhea, and Bianca. Both of those are stupid. Io Sky versus Bianca Belair is stupid. Io Sky versus Rhea versus Bianca is stupid. The correct match is Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. And there's a few reasons for this, but let's start off with the obvious. Triple threat matches suck. We already talked about that. And we already talked about how, like, in that CM Punk Rollins Roman Reigns match, you take those three characters and you break them off into whatever one-on-one match you come up with. That is a better match for WrestleMania than a triple threat match. With this one, there's only one correct option with these three, and that's Bianca versus Rhea. Why Bianca versus Rhea? Well, they're the Rock and Stone Cold of the women's division nowadays. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are the two top stars in the women's division today. Without a doubt, they are the top two stars. That doesn't mean they're the two, like, most skilled. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're the two most skilled, but they are the two biggest stars in the women's division today. There's no debating that. It's Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, the two biggest stars, and they have not yet had a big time program together in a big show like a WrestleMania. They've teased it. They teased it the night after WrestleMania 39. They had Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair go face to face as champions who left WrestleMania 39 as champions, and they teased, maybe next year at 40. Well, we never ended up getting that at WrestleMania 40, but the stars were aligned for it to happen this year. You had Rhea Ripley regain her championship from Liv Morgan, and then you had Bianca and Naomi lose the tag team titles to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and then you had Charlotte Flair choose to face Tiffany after winning the Royal Rumble, and then you had Bianca win the Elimination Chamber. So, while it's all kind of being thrown together really fast, the stars were aligned for this match to happen. But then Triple H had Rhea Ripley drop the title to Io Sky, and we're going to get to Io Sky in a bit here, but the stars were aligned for this big clash to finally happen, this big, Rock versus Austin or Trish versus Lita type match to have at WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, and they ruined it for Io Sky. This is a match that people have been waiting for since WrestleMania 39, since the night after WrestleMania 39 when they first teased it. And Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are going to have a one-on-one program at some point through the year, but this is what really gets me. You don't save the one-on-one match for after WrestleMania. You do the one-on-one match at WrestleMania. And you especially don't make it into a triple threat match for Io Sky. And again, we're going to get to Io Sky in a bit here, but what is Io Sky? She is essentially a really, really good wrestler. And when I say good wrestler, I mean like wrestler in the ring, like in between the ropes. She's a really, really, really good in-ring wrestler. That's it. So you just ruined a star-powered match between your two biggest stars, Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, to put Io Sky into it. This is like taking The Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania and making it The Rock versus Stone Cold versus Eddie Guerrero. We all love Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero is a better wrestler than both The Rock and Stone Cold were. Eddie Guerrero was a better wrestler than both those guys in the ring. You don't break up The Rock versus Austin to throw Eddie Guerrero into the match. R.I.P. Eddie, no disrespect, meaning I'm just using you as an example. And I'll use another example, Kurt Angle, who was also a better wrestler than both The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. You do not break up The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for Kurt Angle, to throw Kurt Angle into there. Whether it be a triple threat match or Kurt Angle versus one or the other instead of Rock versus Austin. The triple threat match at any other show is a fantastic idea. Rock versus Austin versus Eddie at like Backlash, fantastic. Rock versus Austin versus Angle at Backlash, fantastic. Same here. Rhea versus Bianca versus Io at Backlash, fantastic. It'll be a great match. You know, them in a triple threat match at SummerSlam, fantastic. It'll be a great match. At WrestleMania, you put the two biggest stars in the match versus each other, and that is Bianca and Rhea, a match we've been waiting for 2 years. You do not ruin that for Io Sky, and here's why you don't ruin that for Io Sky. Io Sky is what she is. She is a fantastic in-ring wrestler. That is it. She is not a star. She is not a superstar in the sense that she's a needle mover or a needle pusher. She is not a star in the sense that, she's a poster girl. She's a poster woman. No, the other two, yes. Her, no. Io Sky is a wrestler's wrestler. She is fantastic in the ring, and you can make an argument that she's a better in-ring wrestler than both Bianca and Rhea. It doesn't matter. You don't ruin a star-powered match for a wrestler's wrestler at WrestleMania. Now, Io Sky is going to be turning 35 a month after WrestleMania, less than a month after WrestleMania. Is 35 old? No. Is Io Sky old? No. At least I hope not, because we're born in the same year, 1990. I hope she's not old. But in terms of her being what she is old. She is exactly what she is, and she'll never be better than what she is right now, which means adds to the fact that you don't break up this match for Io Sky when she is exactly what she is. She's never going to be better in the ring than she is today. If anything, she's going to start declining soon. That's just what happens. That happens after like 25, let alone 35. So she's never going to be better in the ring than she is today. She just simply is what she is now and will never be better than that. And in terms of, being a character or being a superstar, like mic skills and, the presentation of her, she's never going to be better than what she is now. And she's not a star. She's a wrestler. She's a great wrestler, but she's not a star. She can barely speak English. Okay, that's fine. It's not a huge deal. You can learn the language, right? Like you can learn to speak English, and she has learned to speak English a little bit, but it's very obvious when she speaks English that she doesn't know the language, that she's just memorizing like a couple sentences of words. And the fact that she doesn't know the language means that she being charismatic in the language completely out of the question. You can't be charismatic in a language that you don't know. Okay, that's fine. Let's just have her speak in her native language. Well, they do that. And when she does that, she's not charismatic in that either. And this is the problem. Io Sky is not a star, and she's never going to be better than what she is now. Look, if Io Sky was 24 years old, I would see some logic in this. Because you would look at her and be like, she's such a fantastic wrestler and she's only 24 years old. She's going to be a workhorse for us for the next 10 to 12 years. We can get, she was a champion at WrestleMania last year. Let's get her in the ring with our two biggest stars. She's going to learn from them. She's going to, up her game wrestling with them. She's going to, absorb, information from them, and it's going to elevate her as a star. And the fact that she's already so good in the ring now, if we can elevate her as a star, she's going to be a workhorse for us for the next 10 to 12 years, and we can have her put over young stars in the future. She's not 24 though, and that's not the case. She's 34, closer to 35. I mean, realistically, how long is Io Sky going to even be in the WWE? Like, women wrestlers don't wrestle into their 40s as full-time wrestlers in the WWE. That's just not a thing. It never has been. Women have come back to wrestle after 40 here and there for WWE, but they don't wrestle into their 40s or even late 30s as full-time wrestlers. It's just not a thing. And like maybe that's becoming a thing, But even if Io Sky is in WWE for the next 5 years, she's never going to be more than what she is now. And what she is now is a wrestler's wrestler, and that's all she'll ever be. And you don't break up The Rock versus Stone Cold for a wrestler's wrestler. You don't break up Bianca versus Rhea Ripley for a wrestler's wrestler. You just don't do it. And like I said, Io Sky involved in this title picture after WrestleMania, fantastic. She's going to get great matches out of Rhea Ripley. She's going to get great matches out of Bianca Belair. Listen, I bet this match at WrestleMania will be one of the best matches of the show. But if you don't think that Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair couldn't be one of the best matches on their own without Io Sky, you're out of your mind. Because my very first thought when Bianca Belair won the Elimination Chamber was, okay, good, they're finally getting to Rhea versus Bianca. Good, let's do it. And you know what? It has the potential to be one of the best women's matches in the history of WrestleMania. Then Io Sky followed Rhea Ripley out to have a three-way face-off with Bianca, and my heart sank because I'm like, oh, that's an image they're going to be showing at WrestleMania as the three of them face to face. It wasn't just a teasing the Io Rhea match at WrestleMania or on Raw the next night. The reason I knew that is because Io immediately followed Rhea out to make it a three-way face-off. If Rhea and Bianca had like a 2-minute face-off and then Io came out, okay, that's just a tease for Raw. But the fact that Io was there immediately, you know they're going to have that image in the promo package of WrestleMania. And my heart sank because I'm like, oh, you're ruining The Rock versus Stone Cold for a wrestler's wrestler. And you just don't do that. And a lot of people said after Io Sky won the title on Raw, they're like, oh, Io's one of Triple H's girls. Io's one of Triple H's girls. And like they were saying it in like a good, positive way. And I'm like, that's not positive. That's not something to brag about. What is this guy doing? He just ruined a dream match for nepotism, for favoritism, for Io Sky. I don't get it, man. That's why I have Io versus Bianca with a big X through it. Io versus Rhea versus Bianca with a big X through it. The match should have been Rhea versus Bianca. That's what the match should be. Now, technically, there's like a 1% chance that this is still what ends up happening because this coming week on Raw, Io's facing Rhea for the women's title and Bianca's the special guest referee. Now, if I was in charge of booking, like if I magically got hired this weekend to be in charge of WWE's booking, what I would do is I would have Naomi and Jade come out to mess with Bianca, but then I would have the match keep going, and I'd have Liv Morgan come out and cost Io Sky the match. Rhea wins. Bianca counts 1, 2, 3. Rhea gets the title back. Rhea and Bianca have a face-off, and then like Io Sky like chases after Liv Morgan, and then this is what you do at WrestleMania. You have 3 women's matches, 3 huge women matches announced. You have Bianca challenging Rhea Ripley for the title. You have Jade Cargill versus Naomi one-on-one, and you have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending their tag team titles against Io Sky and Dakota Kai Damage Control. That's what I would do. That way you still get Io on WrestleMania. You still get to see her wrestle in the ring, but we also get the big time, the big time match that we should have been getting all along in Rhea versus Bianca. That's what I would do. Very unlikely to happen. It's probably going to be a triple threat match at WrestleMania and blah, blah, blah. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Makes me want to puke. And listen, I don't mean any offense against Io Sky. She's just not a star. And look, some people might be like, oh, you're making too big of a deal out of this. No, I'm not. I'm really not. Like I said, you don't break up The Rock versus Stone Cold for Kurt Angle or for Eddie Guerrero or for Chris Jericho or for any of the wrestlers of like that era. You don't do it. You always try to have your 2 biggest stars collide for the title at WrestleMania or in like the big, match that division. And for the women's division, that's Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. This is a match we've been waiting for. The stars were aligned for it to finally happen, and they ruined it for Triple H's girl? Nonsense. Nonsense. Okay, this video is going on too long, so I'm going to try to keep it a bit short for this one because honestly, I don't really care about this match. Like, I hate this match, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't really care that much. Like, all I'll say is this. This match sucks. It has no build up. It's like bottom of the barrel nonsense. Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble was stupid as heck. And, Gunther as world heavyweight champion is not a real world title. It hasn't been a real world title run. He's not being treated as a world champion on Raw. And that's pretty much this match in a nutshell, isn't it? Is that this is a mid-card match. Jey Uso, when he won the Royal Rumble, there were memes going around of, a mid-carder winning the Royal Rumble. And like, remember that close-up shot of John Cena's face when he was standing on the outside after being eliminated in the Royal Rumble? People made memes out of that close up of Cena's face saying, like, the face you make when you lose the Royal Rumble to a mid Carter. And it's like, that sums up this match, man. Jey Uso's a mid Carter. I understand he's super over. I've been watching Raw since it's gone on Netflix. I see how over he is with the crowd. But there have been so many wrestlers that are super over like this with the crowd through the years that just are not stars. Like, look at Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30, or Bryan Danielson as his real name. He was super, super over at WrestleMania 30, and I was cheering like heck for Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call him, to go win the world title at WrestleMania 30. But like, is anybody going to sit here and say that Daniel Bryan is a superstar? No, he was just a really over wrestler with the wrestling crowd. That's what Jey Uso is. He's a really over wrestler with the wrestling crowd, but he's never going to be like, he's not a mainstream star. And that's what WrestleMania is supposed to be about, is seeing like the biggest stars collide. And Jey Uso is just like, he's a mid-card wrestler who's just super, super over with the crowd. And it's like, okay, you're super over, but that doesn't mean you should win a world championship. Um, so yeah, Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble was stupid. I hated it the night it happened. That like also like killed a lot of hype I had for WrestleMania. But like, the build up to this match has been, it's not even just like calling them a mid Carter as a meme or to make fun of them. Like, it's literally what the WWE is building them up as. Like, they're usually in the the middle of the card on Raw, or in the opening slots of Raw, or not even necessarily the opening slot, but like the second slot. Um, and like, look at who they're wrestling. Jey Uso's been wrestling Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and Gunther's been wrestling Alpha Academy, like Otis, and like, I can't even remember Otis's partner's name. Like, forgive me for not remembering it, but like, they're literally wrestling like low card jobbers, these two. And what's the storyline between them? The storyline is that they've wrestled a bunch of times, including wrestling this year. Isn't that lovely how one of the World Championship matches at WrestleMania this year is a match that we've already seen in 2025? Remember that Gunther and Jey Uso wrestled in the Saturday night's main event in January? So how cool is that? A WrestleMania World Title match is a match that's already taken place in 2025. Fantastic, fantastic booking there. Um, but what's the storyline of this match? Oh, Jey Uso's never beaten Gunther. Who cares? Who gives a shit? That's not a storyline. This isn't a sport. This is a drama. That's not drama. That's sport shit. It's like, oh, so and so team hasn't beat so and so team this year. That's sports, man. This is wrestling. Wrestling is not a sport. It's a drama. There's no drama there. I don't care about, Jey Uso's never beaten Gunther. You know why Jey Uso's never beaten Gunther? Because wrestling's fake and matches are predetermined. That's why Jey Uso's never beaten Gunther. I don't care that Jey Uso's never beaten Gunther. Why would I care about that? This is wrestling. Wins and losses mean nothing in wrestling. They literally mean nothing because it's not a real sport. So don't give me that nonsense. And then, oh yeah, after every match Jey Uso has, Gunther comes out and puts a sleeper hold on Jey. Oh, that's a real storyline right there. You're really writing something, riveting, and you're really writing something, so deep and profound with, Gunther putting sleeper holds on Jey Uso after his matches. Like, the build up to this match has been an Intercontinental title buildup. And that's what this World Championship is. It's the Intercontinental title of today, right? Like, let's not pretend that this world title is equal to the WWE title that Cody Rhodes has. It's not. And at this rate, it never will be. This is the modern day Intercontinental title. And it's like, what bothers me about that is two things. One, this is literally I say the two things is this is literally being booked like it's the modern day Intercontinental title. It's being treated like it's the modern day Intercontinental title. And it's like, okay, I wouldn't have an issue with that, but the fact is they try to sell this as a world championship. They even call it the world championship. It's not a world championship. This is the Intercontinental title. The other thing that bothers me about that is the Intercontinental title, like the actual literal Intercontinental title, still exists. So it's like this being treated like the Intercontinental title completely buries the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker his title means nothing. LA Knight's United States title, that means nothing. The real mid-card championship is Gunther. Gunther's quote-unquote world heavyweight title, that's the actual mid-card title of the WWE right now. Cody Rhodes is the real champion, Gunther's the mid-card champion, and then every other men's title means nothing. Like, because there's two tag team titles. How do you have two tag team titles? That makes no sense. The tag team division is one division, right? So why is there two champions? Yeah, I know Raw and SmackDown are different shows, but come on, give me a break. Why are there two different tag team championships? And then the US and Intercontinental title, those both mean nothing because Gunther's the real mid-card champion with this world title. But that's what this match is, man. It's two mid-carders being thrown in a quote-unquote world title match, but it's not a main event at WrestleMania, despite Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble. There's no storyline to it. You know, it's all bottom of the barrel, low effort stuff because Jey Uso gets the crowd to chant "Yeet" every week. Who cares, man? This match is just stupid. Listen, I was accepting of this match as, you know, like a night one main event because it's like, I understand, okay, Jey Uso's super over with the crowd. We'll have him win the Royal Rumble and we'll have him main event night one. And we'll have him beat Gunther for the world title. It's like, okay, I'd be able to live with it if the rest of the card was phenomenal. If we had, you know, a Roman Reigns versus The Rock or a Cody Rhodes versus The Rock or, you know, them not killing CM Punk's character off or, you know, us having the dream match of Rhea versus Bianca. And then it's like, okay, this night one will be there to satisfy, like, you know, the hardcore Yeet crowd that shows up every week. It's like, I can live with it. I could live with this match, but I can't live with it in the way it is. I can't live with it with the rest of the card being what the rest of the card is. And I can't live with it being treated like a mid-card championship and, you know, being booked like a mid-card championship with no build-up whatsoever. I referenced Daniel Bryan earlier. The storylines that Daniel Bryan had heading into WrestleMania 30 completely blow this away. Completely blow this away. It's not even a comparison, man. So it's like Jey Uso in a way is getting screwed himself because like they've given him like bottom of the barrel stuff to work with on what's supposed to be like the defining moment of his career. And you know, we talked about this being the Intercontinental title and how both these guys are mid-carders. Well, like they've done nothing to elevate them. And it's like Gunther can't be elevated in a match where, you know, he's facing off against somebody he's faced off against like 10 times already. And Jey Uso can't be elevated as a star when they give him nothing in terms of storyline to work with and they just give him like, you know, standard heel attacks you after your match every week and he beats up your babyface friends type things. Like, that's not a storyline. If they actually wrote like a compelling storyline, maybe Jey Uso could elevate himself as a star. Or if they had Gunther versus like a John Cena, for example, then Gunther could be elevated as like a serious champion. That's like Gunther is taking his world championship into WrestleMania, John Cena's last WrestleMania. That elevates his status as a champion, you know? But the way this match is right now, both of these guys have ultimately got the short end of the stick from WWE. Jay's probably going to win, but like, is it really going to matter? Like, how long is he going to honestly hold the title for? Probably not long. Like, I say the longest he holds it is till SummerSlam. That's the absolute longest. I don't even think he probably even makes it that far with the title. Um, and Gunther, like, he really gets nothing out of this. Like, he genuinely gets nothing out of this. The match might be great, and I hope for their sake that the match is great, but like, I just don't see how either of them really benefit from this entire situation. And the build up to this match has sucked. There's no hype around it whatsoever. Um, I wish it was the main event of night one, because then, at least CM Punk's character wouldn't be completely destroyed in that useless throwaway triple threat match. Um, my guess is this is probably going to be the opening match on night two. Like, I don't know, like, open with this match night two, and then close with Cena Cody night two. But like, who even cares? And that's the problem with this match, is like, it can be summed up to that, is who even cares? My goal is to get through this in 10 to 15 minutes. It'll be hard though, but we'll see. John Cena, the biggest thing hurting his legacy was the fact that he never had a heel run as a main eventer in WWE. Through his entire main event run in WWE, he was a babyface. And even after the next guy, Roman Reigns, who replaced John Cena at the top of the card as the top guy, even for years after that, John Cena still wrestled and appeared as a babyface. The biggest thing hurting his legacy was he never had a heel run as a main eventer. He had a heel run before he became United States champion in the mid card, but that's not what we're talking about. He never had a main event heel run in the WWE or in professional wrestling in general. Every other major star at the level of a John Cena has had both babyface and heel runs in the main event. Whether you're talking about The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns himself, all these big, huge names through the years, both during Cena, or Edge, Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, whether it's during Cena's era, after Cena's era, before Cena's era, all these, names that are either slightly below him at his level or slightly above him in some cases. Like when you're talking about Rock, Hogan, and Austin, who I put all three of those guys above John Cena. Every single one of them had runs as a heel and as a babyface. John Cena never had a heel run, so that was hurting his legacy. And I was thinking for the longest time that John Cena was going to do his retirement run as a babyface. And that when it came time to discuss his career, that we would be talking about a guy who never had a heel run and how that would really hurt his legacy. Then the Elimination Chamber happens and John Cena turns heel. They were teasing for weeks The Rock wanting Cody Rhodes to sell his soul to him. The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to sell his soul to the final boss, and The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to be his champion, which essentially meant, I want you to turn heel for me. In real life terms, I want you to turn heel for me. In kayfabe terms, it's all like, everything we don't need to get into it. We saw it on TV. But The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to sell his soul to him. And Cody didn't do that. And I thought that was the right call, because it didn't really make sense for me. It made sense in a real life aspect of they need Cody or Cena to be heel. And it's like, okay, well, like, one of them has to be heel for this match to work, right? But it didn't really make sense to me for Cody to turn heel. It didn't make sense for his character. Then John Cena turned heel instead. It was revealed at the Elimination Chamber that John Cena was the one who sold his soul to The Rock, and John Cena was selling his soul to the final boss, and he became heel in what was one of the greatest moments in all of wrestling history. And I will give that to WWE. That night of the Elimination Chamber, it was one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history. Bigger than Hulk Hogan turning to the NWO. Like, it was bigger than Hulk Hogan's NWO joining. The Rock joining forces with the Final Boss and Travis Scott was a bigger moment than Hulk Hogan revealing himself to being the other member of the NWO. At least equal, but in my opinion, probably even bigger. John Cena didn't show up on TV for 3 weeks after that. It took 3 Raws for him to show up after that. So right there, it's killed. And this is a huge problem. Vince McMahon would have never in a million years let that happen. And I understand part-time schedules. I understand limited ability. I understand limited availability, I should say. I understand that real life sometimes gets in the way of fiction, especially in pro wrestling, that sometimes you don't have access to John Cena, you don't have access to The Rock, you don't have access to Travis Scott. You don't do a heel turn like that and wait 3 weeks for John Cena to show up on Raw. You just don't do it. When you commit to doing that angle, like, the very first thing you need to do is go to John and be like, so you're going to be there on Monday, right? Like, we need you to open the show on Monday, and we need you to build off this. It's like, I understand John's limited availability in real life. You have to have him on Raw, not just on Raw after the Elimination Chamber. He needs to be the very first thing we see. He was the last thing we saw at the Elimination Chamber. He needed to be the very first thing we saw on the Raw that happened that week. He wasn't. He didn't show up for 3 weeks. Okay, that's a huge, huge problem, but, we'll have to work around it, right? Well, what's the very first thing he does when he comes out? He comes out to his theme song, his babyface theme song that he's had for decades at this point. He came out in the same style of merchandise that he had as a babyface, and he came out, same music, same presentation, nothing changed. This tells me a few things, and we can get into like the theories of it all, but like, number one, it tells me that this heel turn probably isn't lasting very long. That's the first thing I'm thinking of, is like, okay, this heel turn is not lasting long. Otherwise, they would have changed his music. They would have changed up his look. They would have changed up the presentation, right? But they're not. So that tells me this heel turn's probably not lasting very long. Okay, but then he even addresses this in his promo. But like, simply acknowledging laziness is not, it doesn't excuse laziness. Like, him openly acknowledging the fact that they didn't change up the presentation doesn't excuse the fact that they didn't change up the presentation. You need to change up the presentation. That get up, that song, it does not work for a heel. Okay, so that's one bad thing already. The second that's 2 bad things technically. They didn't change up the presentation, and it took him 3 weeks to show up. So 2 bad things already. Okay, bad thing number 3. The Rock and Travis Scott, nowhere to be found. Okay, that's 3 bad things. Number 4, John Cena never once addressed joining The Rock. He never once addressed selling his soul to The Rock. He never addressed any of that. All he did was cut a very generic and very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not stereotypical, not cliche. Prototypical. I'll just use the word prototypical. He cut the most prototypical, generic heel promo that a heel can cut. He explained himself by saying, "Oh, it's you, the fans' fault. I'm doing what I'm doing because of you people." First of all, that is the most basic and generic heel promo there is, right? Like, what's the most basic and generic heel turn promo? It's blame the audience. Like, every single babyface that turns heel, like, the first thing they do is they blame the audience. Okay, so you just had the biggest star of the century come out and cut the most generic heel turn promo that he can cut. Okay, so that's another big, huge problem. That's 4 huge problems. But let's go back to that number 4 problem of it being a super generic heel turn promo. It doesn't make sense for John Cena's character at all. Why would a near 50-year-old man care about half the crowd booing him in 2009? Like, John, that was 16 years ago. You have main evented WrestleMania several times. You are a multi-millionaire. You are the biggest professional wrestler of the 21st century. You are now in Hollywood. You're on your retirement tour, and since you've announced your retirement tour, you haven't been booed a single time before turning heel, I mean. Like, you were not booed a single time. Why? And you're almost 50. Why do you care? You have more money than you can spend in this lifetime. You have 16 world titles to your name. You've main evented WrestleMania like how many times? You're going to go in the WWE Hall of Fame as soon as you want to go in the WWE Hall of Fame. Why do you care about half the crowd booing you in 2009 when your attitude at the time was you brush it off your shoulder, you rise above hate? You literally had a t-shirt saying rise above hate. It makes no sense for you to all of a sudden care. It doesn't make sense for his character in the past. It doesn't make sense for the man that he is now to cut that promo. What would have made sense, however, on the flip side of that, is for him to explain why he sold his soul to The Rock, which is something he has not done yet and probably is not going to do before WrestleMania at this point. Maybe he does, but realistically, this should have been the very first thing. The very first thing he should have done when he grabbed the mic is, so everybody wants to know why I sold my soul to the final boss. Well, I have 2 reasons why John Cena would sell his soul to the final boss that both have real life and kayfabe implications to it. So both real life reasons and fictional reasons that we would all buy and all understand, and his heel turn would make sense. Number 1, John Cena could not beat Austin Theory. John Cena could not beat Solo Sikoa. John Cena could not win the Royal Rumble, and John Cena could not overcome Jey Uso to win the Royal Rumble. John Cena almost lost the Elimination Chamber and could not defeat CM Punk on his own without help from Seth Rollins. If Seth Rollins did not interfere in the Elimination Chamber, John Cena would have lost to CM Punk. John Cena is an old man, and the John Cena that we all knew, the John Cena who was a 16-time champion, is dead. John Cena can't beat Austin Theory, he can't beat Solo Sikoa, he couldn't win the Royal Rumble, and he would not have won the Elimination Chamber without Seth Rollins' help. So he needs the power of the final boss, because if he couldn't do all those things, how could he possibly beat Cody Rhodes? How could he possibly beat the best wrestler in the world? Kayfabe-wise, Cody Rhodes is the best wrestler in the world. He is the WWE champion, and he's been WWE champion for almost a year now. How could a man who can't beat Austin Theory, can't beat Solo Sikoa, can't win the Royal Rumble, and can't win the Elimination Chamber without help, beat the best wrestler in the world? Easy. He needs the power of the final boss. Well, how would the power of the final boss allow him to beat Cody Rhodes? The final boss pinned Cody Rhodes 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring last year at WrestleMania, didn't he? Night 1 at WrestleMania, The Rock pinned Cody Rhodes 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns didn't pin Cody Rhodes. The Rock pinned Cody Rhodes. So John Cena, in order to have a chance against Cody Rhodes, needs to sell his soul to the final boss and get the power of the final boss to beat Cody Rhodes. That's reason number 1. That's all kayfabe. That all makes sense. Number 2, we're adding some real life stuff in here. John Cena is the biggest wrestler of the WWE. John Cena leaves the WWE as the biggest wrestler in the company to go to Hollywood. Who does this remind you of? It reminds you of The Rock. The Rock was the biggest star in the WWE, and then he left the WWE and he became the biggest star in all of Hollywood. John Cena wants to become the biggest star in all of Hollywood. How can he assure himself of becoming the biggest star in all of Hollywood after he retires from WWE? It's easy. You sell your soul to the final boss. You sell your soul to the man that's done exactly what you're trying to do by leaving as the biggest star in WWE to go become the biggest star in all of Hollywood, The Rock. That is two real reasons, both kayfabe and real reasons, why John Cena would sell his soul to the final boss, The Rock. He needs the power of the final boss to beat Cody Rhodes so he can become a 17-time champion and break Ric Flair's record. And then he needs the power of the final boss to become the biggest star in all of Hollywood. Two reasons why. Those are the two things he should have said. And that would have made complete sense. And then he should have said, and you can all hate me for it, but every single one of you would have done the exact same goddamn thing that I did. Every single one of you would have sold your soul to the final boss like I did. This is the promo John Cena should have cut. Then Cody Rhodes should have came out. Then they should have gone back and forth from there. But instead, we got the generic heel turn promo from Cena. We had Cody basically bury John Cena in the first week that they came face to face, and pretty much call him a whiny bitch. And how this match should be booked is John Cena should be infused with the power of the final boss. They can even start calling him the final boss. John Cena's now the final boss because if Rock's not there, we can at least say that he's transferred the powers to John Cena. It's all goofy nonsense, right? But hey, wrestling is goofy nonsense. So let's embrace the goofy nonsense. At least it would make sense then, and at least it would be some effort as opposed to the generic crap that they've been giving us. And John Cena could be the final boss all the way up until WrestleMania, and this would make Cody the underdog, which is what you want to be doing here. You want the babyface to be the underdog, not the heel. But the way Cody handled the first promo, he pretty much made Cena the underdog here, which kind of makes sense into John Cena's character from all those years because he was always the underdog. But that's all done now. John Cena is no longer an underdog in real life, so that's gone. But he also just turned heel, so adjust, go forward. But then what happens in the second week is John Cena's like, oh, I'm going to retire as WWE champion. So first of all, you're stealing CM Punk stuff from your feud back in 2011. CM Punk saying, I'm going to win the WWE title and leave with the WWE title. So first of all, John Cena in his first week, after 3 weeks of not showing up, he cuts a generic, the most generic heel promo you can cut. And then in the second week, he pretty much steals something from CM Punk. So this is just fantastic work from John Cena and the writing team. It's mostly the writing team, let's be honest. But just absolute fantastic. And I mean that so sarcastically, if you can't tell. But so 1 week he cuts the generic heel turn crap instead of actually addressing why he did what he did. And then the second week he steals from CM Punk. It's like, okay, why? I do not believe that John Cena, this is why he needed to be the power of the final boss and the selling the soul to The Rock. I do not believe that a near 50-year-old man can win the title at WrestleMania and then hold it all the way until December when he retires. I don't believe it. You couldn't beat Austin Theory. You couldn't beat Solo Sikoa. You couldn't win the Royal Rumble. There's no way that I believe you could hold the WWE title from WrestleMania until December unless you don't defend it. And that's the only way, is you just never defend it. So I don't believe that you have the ability to do that unless, you have the power of the final boss in you. Then I would believe it. Then in kayfabe wise, I believe you actually have the chance to do that. But right now, there's no reason for us to even believe that John Cena could hold the title that long because realistically, he couldn't hold the title that long. John Cena has one championship reign in his career that is actually as long as that, and that was his third championship reign after he won the title from Edge at Unforgiven in the TLC match. I believe that was his third title reign, right? And then he held the title for over a year, or just slightly more than a year at that point. And I think that was John Cena's longest title reign he ever had. But that was when John Cena was in his prime. He's way past that now. So this feud I hate this feud because it could have been so much bigger than what it is. Unfortunately, it's just like the rest of this card, generic nonsense, all bottom of the barrel crap. John Cena's heel turn is probably not going to last very long. Could they throw us a swerve and have Cena win at WrestleMania and then have, like Cena go on a heel run for like the rest of the year? It's possible, but like if they were going to do that, they probably would have changed up his presentation, right? And, they would have, built more on to this, like, Cena sold his soul to The Rock thing, but they haven't built on that at all. My guess is what happens at WrestleMania is The Rock comes out, and during the match, Cena's going to realize that he made a mistake and that he shouldn't win this way, and you're going to see Cena turn babyface, and, like, him and Cody are going to take out The Rock together, and then they're going to have like 5 minutes to finish their match, and then Cody's going to probably win, is my guess, and then Cena's going to raise Cody's hand up in the air, like akin to, Hogan raising Rock's hand, and then Rock raising Cena's hand, and then this is going to be Cena's passing of the torch to Cody, which is like, uh, uh, I'm just over it, man. Like, it's all such simple nonsense when it could have been so much more. And, that's WrestleMania 41 in a nutshell, is it could have been so much more. I look at all of this and it's become painfully obvious to me that two things are going on here. One, Triple H and his writing team, they just don't have it this year. And like I said, there are years in my time as a wrestling fan where there were WrestleManias where Vince and his team simply just didn't have it that year. It happens. But what's more than that is, like, I think they were really, really, really relying on Rock to either wrestle Cody or wrestle Roman at WrestleMania this year, and that was going to be like, the big thing of WrestleMania this year, either Cody versus Rock or Roman versus Rock. And when it became apparent that neither of those were an option because Rock was not going to be able to commit to a program this year, Rock might be at WrestleMania, but the reason why he's not wrestling Cody or Roman is because he couldn't commit to a program, right? It's also why he hasn't shown up to be in John Cena's corner through this feud with Cody yet, because he just can't commit to a program right now. He can commit to maybe showing up the night of, but he can't commit to a program. But as soon as it became clear that they were not going to have access to Rock this year and that they couldn't do either of those matches, they just didn't have a plan B. Like, they didn't have anything up their sleeve to pivot to, and to pivot to in a grand manner. The heel turn at Elimination Chamber was a great moment in a bubble, but they've done nothing with it since, and the heel turn is not going to last that long anyways. Like, maybe John Cena does be heel from WrestleMania through the rest of his year. Maybe he does. Maybe he does win at WrestleMania with the help of The Rock, and maybe him and Rock do some sort of heel team up throughout the rest of the year after WrestleMania. Maybe. But I doubt it. And, even if they do, like, it remains to be seen how good it is, because, like, if we have anything to go on, it's that they're just not going to show up. And if they're not showing up week to week, that's the other thing. John Cena said, like, in real life, when he announced his retirement, he had 36 dates. 36. That's not even once a week. It's not even once a week. Like, that's not a real retirement tour, John. I'm sorry. A real retirement tour is you're going to show up 52 weeks out of a year. That's a retirement tour, not 36 friggin' dates. And you couldn't even show up every single week from Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania. What confidence do I have that you're going to be, give us an epic heel title run from WrestleMania till December? Like, I don't have a confidence in it. And, like I said, that's what WrestleMania 41 is this year. It's all such a big disappointment because it all could have been so much more. Will the show in a bubble on the nights of be a good show? Probably. Like, the wrestlers on the card are good wrestlers. Like the matches probably will be good, and Triple H has shown that he can book really strong PLEs in terms of like, how the matches are presented to us. But there's more to wrestling than just the wrestling itself. And when it comes to the drama and the star power and the storylines and the compelling narratives of WrestleMania season, they don't have it this year. They simply don't have it this year. And as of right now, WrestleMania 41 sucks.